This film is based on a true story. Jean Doe wakes up in a hospital and finds he is unable to move. All Jean Doe could do was weakly speak and observe as the nurses and doctor examined him. Dr. Kashtan asked the patient if he remembered what had happened. Jean Doe replied that his memories were very vague. Dr. Kashtan explained to the patient that he had previously been treated in Paris and had recently been transferred here. According to the doctor, Jean Doe had a stroke and was in a coma for 3 weeks. Dr. Kashtan ran several tests to assess the patient's condition, then once again asked him to try to say something. At that moment, Jean Doe horrifically realized that nobody could actually hear him. He could only blink his left eye. This threw Jean Doe into a panic, but he trusts the doctors and nurses who have told him that the recovery process is long, but there is hope. At some point, one of the nurses said that today was an important day. Soon Dr. LePage, a neurologist, would come. The visit was not long in coming. Dr. LePage frankly told Jean Doe that there was no chance of full recovery. Thanks to innovative resuscitation techniques, doctors can prolong and maintain the lives of such patients. Jean Doe screamed that this was not life, but nobody could hear him. Dr. LePage referred to his condition as pseudocoma. This means he has completely lost the ability to move. Jean Doe is perplexed, because he has never even smoked or drank. The doctor promised the patient that they would take good care of him, and left. Jean Doe feels like he's trapped in a diving suit. A few days later, 2 women who are therapists came in. They asked the patient to blink once if he wanted to say yes, and blink twice if he wanted to say no. The doctors explained to Jean Doe that his case is very rare, so they have a lot of work ahead. Henriette Duran asked him a few more questions and understood that the patient is fully aware of what is happening. When the doctor asked if he had been the editor-in-chief of Elle France magazine, Jean Doe began to recall the past. His life used to be vibrant and full. He interacted with the most famous people in the fashion industry. In the present, lengthy medical procedures continue. Jean Doe feels helpless and desperate. Soon the doctors said that they have a surprise for him. After that, they put Jean Doe in a wheelchair to see how he would react to a sitting position. All went well. As Jean Doe was wheeled down the hallway, he saw other patients just like him. Seeing his reflection, Jean Doe could not believe it. He did not recognize himself at all. It was time for the surprise. Outside, Celine was waiting for Jean Doe. They were never married, but they have children together. Dr. LePage explained to Celine how to communicate with Jean Doe. She looked a bit bewildered. The doctor left them alone. Celine hesitated for a long time before starting the conversation. She came without the children because she wanted to see him first. Celine also said that the children missed him a lot. She promised to bring them later. At some point, Celine asked Jean Doe if his new woman had visited him. Jean Doe answered no. After this meeting, Celine couldn't hold back her tears. She has no idea that Jean Doe feels guilt towards her. Jean Doe was selfish, but now he will never be able to make up for what he missed. Dr. Henriette Duran slowly reads the alphabet aloud and asks Jean Doe to blink when he hears the desired letter. That way he can construct letters into words, and words into sentences. It's a long process, but for now Jean Doe has no other way to communicate with people. Jean Doe feels like a butterfly trapped in a diving suit. The medical staff takes good care of him. Jean Doe can't believe that at the age of 42, his life has come to this. Dr. Marie is reteaching him the swallowing reflex. It turned out to be much more difficult than Jean Doe thought. Suddenly Marie told Jean Doe that she prays for him every day. She has subscribed to Elle France, but she doesn't like the fact that each time the models get thinner and thinner. Soon Jean Doe was visited by Roussan. Jean Doe did not expect to see him, as in recent years he hadn't even remembered this person from his past. Roussan said he understood his feelings because he knew what it was like to be a hostage. It turned out that a long time ago Jean Doe gave his plane seat to Roussan. As a result, the plane was hijacked, and Roussan spent 4 years in captivity. All those years were a living nightmare for Roussan. It was a miracle that Roussan didn't lose his sanity completely, but against all odds, he went through it because he clung to what made him human. Roussan advised Jean Doe to do the same. Only that would help him survive. Jean Doe feels guilty for never calling Roussan even once after he was rescued. Henriette continues to communicate with Jean Doe by naming the alphabet aloud. It takes Jean Doe a long time to convey each word. He admitted that he doesn't want this life. Henriette said he can't afford to think like that because there are many people who love him. However, Jean Doe no longer sees any sense in all of this. Later he was visited by Laurent, an old friend. He also learned to communicate with him through the alphabet. However, he doesn't know that at this moment Jean Doe is on the verge of hysteria. Laurent can't believe that this happened to Jean Doe. No one expected this. All day long Jean Doe lies in the ward, imagining himself locked in a diving suit. Fragmented memories from the past were running through his head. Jean Doe constantly thinks about missed opportunities. Before, he did not appreciate what he had and did not know how to enjoy life. Only now Jean Doe understood that truly valuable things people never notice in everyday life. Henriette continues to work hard with him. And if before Jean Doe reacted to these lessons negatively, now he has changed his attitude to this. He understands that this is his only way to communicate with people. Sometimes their lessons took place outdoors. Jean Doe firmly decided never to complain again. Apart from his left eye, he still has two functioning things, imagination and memory. These are two ways to get out of his diving suit. Jean Doe can imagine anything, anyone, anywhere. Fantasies transported him to any corner of the world and any epoch. Jean Doe wants to remember himself as he was in his youth. His life was full of impressions and interesting acquaintances, but all this is in the past. Henriette contacted Jean Doe's publisher on his behalf and said that the patient wants to write a book, as he had previously signed a contract with the publisher. The publisher promised to help, and soon sent Claude Mandeville to the hospital, who would be writing under dictation. Henriette explained to her how it's done. At night Jean Doe memorizes everything he wants to write, and during the day he retells it to Claude. From now on, the long process of writing the book began. It will be a story about his mental journeys. Now for Jean Doe, this is the only thing left in life. Henriette occasionally takes him out for walks, and for Jean Doe these are moments of happiness. Sometimes Laurent would read his favorite books to him. Soon at Jean Doe's request, a loudspeaker phone was installed in the ward. So he will be able to hear the voice of his loved ones. Jean Doe is regularly taken for physiotherapy. When a fly landed on his face, he managed to move slightly. The doctors considered this a miracle. There may be hope that Jean Doe will regain his speech. Jean Doe remembers the day before the incident. He was caring for his elderly father, who was unwell. The father said that he did not like the fact that his son had to take care of him. Jean Doe, who was in a great mood, just joked. The father also misses his wife, who passed away a long time ago. He remarried, but he does not love this woman as much as he loved Jean Doe's mother. The father condemns his son for not marrying Celine. They have 3 children together, but Jean Doe preferred another woman to her. He did not want to talk about it and changed the subject. That was their last meeting. Now Jean Doe thinks about how much he misses the father. Soon Celine and the children visited him. They spent this day at the beach. Looking at his daughters and son, Jean Doe regrets that he rarely saw them before. Celine told Jean Doe that she is proud of him, because despite everything, he is writing the book. Celine also was surprised that his new girlfriend never came to Jean Doe. Before, it seemed to Celine that the woman was madly in love with him. Celine brought Jean Doe back to the hospital. Saying goodbye to him, she and the children left. They will only come back in a week. Jean Doe could not find the words to express all his sorrow. On the other hand, he is full of joy, as his children are healthy and moving forward. Claude became a close friend to Jean Doe. Every time he was left alone in the ward, he would close his eyes, imagining himself in different places. This time Jean Doe imagined having dinner with Claude in a luxurious restaurant, where there was a lot of delicious food. Perhaps he and Claude could have become a couple. However, reality differs significantly from his fantasies. One day Jean Doe complimented Claude, making her blush. Jean Doe hates Sundays the most because there are no medical procedures or visits on those days. However, this Sunday, Marie decided to take him to the church for Mass. Jean Doe has never been a believer, but he also understands that many people are praying for him. Jean Doe did not want to receive communion, but Marie decided otherwise. The priest read a prayer, wishing him a speedy recovery. Jean Doe thinks these prayers are useless, but the Holy Father objected, saying that he needs to stock up on patience. Also, the priest suggested Jean Doe join his pilgrimage and go to Lourdes, where there have been cases of miraculous healing. Jean Doe recalls the last time he went to Lourdes with Josephine, one of his girlfriends. She said she wanted to see the Virgin Mary, but Jean Doe didn't believe her. Thousands of people who seek a miracle for themselves or their loved ones come to this place. Jean Doe doesn't like it here. The face of the icon store seller seemed familiar to him. Obviously, Jean Doe and Josephine have very different views on life. Jean Doe went for a walk, deciding that he would break up with Josephine as soon as they returned to Paris. In the present, physical therapy sessions continue. The doctors are teaching him the swallowing reflex. It seems that Jean Doe has come to terms with his new life. The luck had always been with him before, so Jindo never imagined that one day it would be over. Sometimes Jindo imagined standing up as if nothing had happened. But these were just fantasies. Once the phone rang in the ward. It was Jindo's father, who was so nervous that he couldn't immediately express what he wanted to say. Both father and son miss each other very much. The father tearfully said that he had sent him a gift. Unfortunately, the 92-year-old man can't visit the son because he is unable to leave his apartment. Before ending the conversation, the man told his son that he had left him a farewell letter. Claude, reading the alphabet out loud and watching Jindo blink, relayed his words to the man. Jindo doesn't want his father to cry. However, the man couldn't stop and cried all day, while Jindo continued to feel trapped in a diving suit. Claude thought it would be beneficial for Jindo to change surroundings, so she took him on a boat ride. She also gave him 2 volumes of his favorite book and read one of the chapters aloud. Soon Celine visited Jindo and read him letters from loved ones and acquaintances. In the envelope from his father was a childhood photo of Jindo. Suddenly Ines, Jindo's girlfriend, called. She didn't want Celine to hear their conversation, but there was no choice. Ines admitted that she planned to visit him, but changed her mind at the last moment and left the station. Jindo wanted Celine to leave the ward for a while. Ines was crying and said that she just couldn't find the strength to visit him. She wanted to remember him as he was before. Celine returned. Through her, Jindo told Ines that he waited for her every day. This made Ines cry. Celine hung up the phone. Jindo continued his mental journeys. It was something on the verge of reality and fantasy. He remembers how Rusan approached him on the plane and said that if he didn't leave now, he would miss his connection in Hong Kong. Jindo gave up his seat, deciding to fly on the next flight. Soon Jindo's birthday took place. The entire medical staff came to congratulate him. Jindo thought about how his condition had undoubtedly improved. He was trying to make sounds, so maybe one day his speech would partially return. That day Laurent visited, who was surprised to hear that his friend was trying to speak. Suddenly Jindo felt unwell. He was rushed to the intensive care unit, diagnosed with pneumonia. Jindo once again immersed himself in memories. That day he was in Paris and stopped by to pick up his son Theo to spend time with him. Nothing foreshadowed trouble. Jindo was carefree chatting with his son when he suddenly felt unwell. Jindo managed to stop the car before he lost consciousness. Theo immediately ran for help. Despite everything, Jindo and Claude continue working on the book. In the last chapter, Jindo described the day when his life changed completely. Jindo titled his book The Diving Suit and the Butterfly, dedicating it to his children. He wants his son and daughters to never repeat his mistakes and to appreciate their lives, as well as their loved ones. At 43, Jindo is no longer thinking straight. Everyone congratulates him on his success, saying that critics have given his book very high praise. Then a voiceover tells us about the real hero of this story. Jindo passed away on March 9, 1997, 10 days after the publication of his book. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.